Every year, 200,000 people enter a lottery for the chance to hike to one rock formation in the Arizona desert. 64 people a day get in, and today, that's us. I'm Erica, and we're the Rome School family. Our brains work best when we're moving, when we can touch things, when we can ask questions the second we think of them. Traditional classrooms weren't really built for us, so we're Rome schooling, learning our way through all 63 parks, one trail at a time. All right, Big, wake up. It's 4 a.m.
Why?
Because Jaron said we have to go early.
Who's Jaron?
Well, let's hop in the truck and you'll find out.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
That's Jaron. He's our guide. He used to work in wilderness therapy, but more recently, he stepped away from that work and started guiding.
This is the most beautiful job I've ever had, probably will ever have. It's really nice to pick people up who are excited to go out into nature, and then I get to see it through new eyes every time.
Okay, before anything else, let's talk about where we're going and why it's so special. Big, where are we going?
The Wave!
Yes, the Wave is an ancient sandstone rock formation on the Utah-Arizona border. Now, this is a time when I wish I could just show you a picture, but since I can't, I either want you to Google it or just use your imagination when I say this. It looks like that iconic Japanese painting, The Great Wave. But imagine the waves were painted in earthy, warm reds, yellows, and oranges, and imagine that you could walk right onto the canvas. And before you jump out of your seat, I should tell you that you can't just up and go. This is one of the rarest permits in the entire United States. 200,000 people apply every year for just 64 spots a day. And if you show up without a permit and get caught by the Bureau of Land Management, you face a fine of, and we're being serious here,
up to $100,000 or 6 months in federal prison.
The BLM patrols this wilderness on horseback, and they will stop you and check for permits because those flowing layers of sandstone I just described will snap like a cracker under too many feet, and the daily restriction is the only thing keeping it intact. Some people try for years to win the permit lottery. We met a woman who's been trying for 8 years, but we got in on our second try. You honestly never know. The road to the trailhead is the first signal you've left the world behind. Miles of rough dirt track, no pavement, no signs, and even in the dark, you start to feel the scale of what's out here.
Utah is 75% public land. I think Nevada and Alaska are the only ones with more.
And as the sun starts to rise, the Vermilion Cliffs come into color. The word vermilion describes a specific shade, an intense reddish orange. If you want to look it up, Pantone got it just right. Then you arrive at the Wave Trailhead. There are pit toilets. Use them. That's the last bathroom until you return to this exact spot. Nothing between here and the Wave and back. And as for water, carry at least a gallon per person.
I brought my Camelback with 1.5 liters.
That sounds like too much until you're 2 miles out in 90-degree heat and the dry desert air is pulling the moisture out of you faster than you realize. Long sleeves also might seem like a weird choice in the heat, but you need the coverage for 6 or 7 hours with zero shade. And if you're hiking without a guide, I think you should bring a satellite phone. There is no cell service from the moment you leave the parking area. Okay, Big's got his pack.
Check.
His long sleeves.
Check.
His hat.
Check.
We're ready to set off into the morning light. Then, Jaron takes off his shoes.
Why?
I just find I'm more mindful of where I step when I have no shoes on. I just feel less clumsy. It's just lighter.
Cyrus watches, thinks about it for about half a second, then takes his shoes off too.
That's how you're going to play it? 2 can play this.
And that was that. 3 shod and 2 completely barefoot travelers heading out into the desert. Everybody posts about the Wave. On TikTok, on Instagram, you've probably seen the photos. But nobody tells you about the hike on the way to get there. Hiking miles through sand is slow going.
It's like trying to climb an avalanche.
Exactly. And the good thing is, we're doing that part in the morning before it gets hot. But here's what Cyrus notices, because he's barefoot and he's paying attention differently than the rest of us.
The surface of the sand is already burning, but if you put your feet just a few inches down, it's there.
He's right. The surface of the desert sand in direct sun can hit over 150 degrees. But dig down just a couple of inches and the temperature drops dramatically. Lizards, rodents, beetles, all of these desert animals have been exploiting that temperature gradient for millions of years. When the surface gets too hot, they burrow just a few inches down and wait it out. The desert floor is more alive than it looks. It's just alive underground. And Jaron doesn't let Big be a passenger on this hike.
You got the guide hat on, and then there's no signs after that.
The Bureau of Land Management keeps signage to an absolute minimum out here to preserve the wilderness. The trail to the wave has just a few markers at the start. Then you have to navigate using photos of landmarks on a printed out flyer.
We need 2 buttes. You know what a butte is? So it's something that's taller than it is wide. They almost look like 2 teepees. Do you see something that looks like that in front of us?
Big got to be our guide. He didn't lose the route once.
It was easy.
To you, maybe. But people can get lost and turned around on these trails, so you really have to follow the directions carefully. I'm glad we got a guide, honestly. Jaron stops along the way, not just for rest, but for education. He points out a juniper tree that looks completely dead.
But see how it's still got some green tufts on it? That tree's doing that on purpose. It shuts off parts of its system to survive the high drought years.
And when Big spots a snake hole and makes a move towards it, Jaron doesn't panic. He just explains the risk.
We have some venomous snakes out here. We call them nope ropes, and then the fun snakes we call fun noodles.
Big takes a more measured step back.
Yeah, the entrance to the wave's just about 100 yards away.
I don't know how to prepare anyone for this in words. You just come around an ordinary-looking sandstone wall, and the rock just begins to flow.
Oh my God.
The layers stop being lines in a cliff wall and just start curving and sweeping, moving left and right over your head like you're standing inside a wave, frozen at the exact moment before it crashes. And this is where I want to bring in someone who's spent years studying exactly what we're looking at.
My name is Alana Archbold, and I just finished my 4th year of my PhD at UCLA. I got into geology actually through visiting a national park. I saw some geologists in the field, and I thought, what a great life. I took a geology class, and then I switched my major, and the rest is history. Now I study sedimentary processes on Earth and Mars.
Alana, how did all those stripes get there?
The sandstone all around Arizona and Utah was once sand dunes, if you imagine what you see in the Sahara Desert today. And actually, these sand dunes, they're slowly migrating like a conveyor belt. The sand that's deposited on the face is what leaves behind those beautiful lines that we see in the wave.
So we were walking on the actual dunes?
Well, yeah, what's left of them.
How fast did each stripe form?
Each stripe, so think of it as more of a threshold. So here's our dune. We're looking at it from the side. As soon as there's a tipping point reached, sand can just avalanche down the face.
So it's not slow, it just tips and avalanches all at once?
So it's a matter of seconds, but then the next stripe won't happen until that threshold is overcome again.
What about the colors? Why is it so red?
So the orangey red that we see in the wave is coming from iron. If you imagine the rocks buried beneath us have groundwater flowing through them. And this groundwater, sort of like the ocean where we have salt dissolved in the ocean water, this groundwater had iron dissolved in it. Now, say, percolating through these buried sandstone rocks, there was a change in temperature or acidity that caused a reaction to happen with that iron.
The other curious thing we learned about were the Moqui Marbles. Remember those? The Hopi people, native to this area, say that the ancestor spirits come out at night to play marble games. In the morning, they leave the marbles behind, a sign that they're still here, that the living don't need to worry.
Can I pick one up?
Hold it, don't pocket it. Remember, take only pictures, leave only footprints.
It's really heavy.
Right? It was made by iron-rich groundwater moving through the stone, depositing iron around a single grain of sand. Layer by layer, kind of like a jawbreaker building up around its center, or a pearl building up around a grain of sand.
And then over time, erosion will sort of just pop it out because it's different from what's around it. They kind of look like little blueberries. That's what people call them on Mars.
Wait, there's blueberries on Mars?
This was a discovery with the Curiosity rover, which is currently in Gale Crater on Mars. We can see those stripes and also the blueberries, the iron concretions. So we know at one point there were dunes here that then cemented, groundwater came through them, and these iron concretions formed. So we know in Mars's past, it was a desert, and then there was water flowing, and today it's a desert again.
So Mars was once like Utah, and Utah was once like Mars?
Could there also be a wave on Mars?
Well, maybe not the wave, but probably the same stripes. So the rock in your hand helped scientists understand that Mars once had liquid water moving through it. Same process, same patience, 400 million miles away. Now put it back where you found it. Jaron takes us past the front door and up. Most people stop here, but there's actually a second formation above. They call it the second wave. And that's where we sat down with what little shade we had left of the morning and ate our lunch. On the way back is where we find the dinosaur tracks. Jaron points out a section where the sandstone layers have pockets in them, pressed down.
It was a Dilophosaurus. They were a fast-moving carnivore with two thin, bony crusts on the top of their head.
If that name sounds familiar, it's actually that frilly spitting guy in Jurassic Park.
No wonder you're extinct.
But the movie got it completely wrong. No neck frill, no venom, and significantly bigger than the one that gets the bad guy in the car.
They measured about 16 to 20 feet long. They weighed about 900 pounds.
We also asked Alana about the dinosaur tracks.
Yes. So sometimes water pools and dunes, because if you think about it, you could have a really large dune and then a really large dune and in between some flat ground. Well, if it rains or storms, this flat ground is going to form some puddling. And then that's really attractive to some animals who are used to living in this dry desert because everyone needs to drink water. And if you ever played around in the mud, you might have stuck your hand in it and left a handprint. That's basically what these dinosaurs are doing in these puddles. With time, that dune is going to migrate over that area that's left behind where we just now have the cast of the dinosaur print.
We had no shade on the return. None. The entire way except for...
the bus stop.
Yeah, there's one tree named the bus stop because it's the only shade on the way back. And there's always people under it just waiting. We're starting to pass some hikers beginning their trek to the wave around 1 in the afternoon. They're coming in at peak heat.
I'm actually worried about them.
Yeah, me too. The desert is tricky. You can feel fine 1 minute, and then suddenly you don't. On the drive back, nobody says much for a while. Big looks out the window. Cyrus looks out the window. Jaron just drives. And Cyrus said,
Wave made solitude beautiful in a way that I didn't expect.
I know what he means. You know, this whole Rome school thing, selling the house, quitting the jobs, pulling the kids out, hitting the road, none of it came with any guarantees. Some people think we're crazy. Maybe we are. But we just kept thinking, what's the worst thing that happens if we try? And this morning, we really did take a chance. I was a little bit nervous about whether Big could handle the hike. 6.5 miles, no shade, real heat, no trail. I didn't know. But we said yes anyway, and he walked every single step of it without one word of complaint. He stood at the bottom of a 200-million-year-old sand dune and saw things that almost no other 8-year-old in the whole world has seen. Did I let you know I was nervous?
No.
Good. I try not to. Because I know you can do things. You can surprise me. And I don't want my doubts to get in the way of your confidence. You know, your Mormor has this saying, She says, throw your hat over the wall. The idea is commit before you know how you'll get there. Because once that hat's over, you don't have a choice. You have to climb over and get it.
I'm glad we went.
Me too, bub. Me too. This episode was recorded on the traditional lands of the Kaibab Band of Paiute Indians, the Paiute Indian tribe of Utah, the San Juan Southern Paiute tribe, and the Hopi tribe, who have been stewards of this wilderness since time immemorial. Their connection to this land is ongoing. Learn more at kaibabpaiute.nsn.gov. Our guide was Jaron with Dreamland Safari Tours out of Kanab, Utah. dreamlandtours.net. We are so grateful he took the time to share his knowledge with us. And thanks also to Alana Archbold for sharing her experience with us. Alana is a PhD student at UCLA studying how dune fields evolve and are preserved in the geologic record. She's done fieldwork on modern dunes and ancient sandstones and wind tunnel experiments on Mars landforms. For more park guides and ways to support wilderness conservation, visit roamschoolfamily.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.